You're listening to Love Talk Live with the relationship expert, Jaime Bronstein, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to the show. Welcome to Love Talk Live. I'm Jaime Bronstein, your host, and today I have with me Ginger Bort.
Hello, Jaime. So happy to be here.
So happy to have you.
Thanks, honey.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very, very much.
So today we're going to be talking about a lot of things. So Ginger wrote a cookbook, but she also used to be in the fashion industry, and she also has a very loving, passionate relationship with her husband.
Yes,
so we're going to get into that to inspire our viewers. And she has 2 wonderful daughters also, and you talk a lot in this book, in this cookbook, about love and family and how cooking is love. But we're going to get into that.
Good.
The title is Ginger's Family Style Cookbook.
Yes.
And if you just want to tell them a little bit about the cookbook while I get this next visual aid, maybe about like how you started.
Great. Well, it obviously became a labor of love. And the reason I say that is because my daughters were going away to college, and they wanted some of my recipes to take with them, or they would call me all the time and say, Mom, what do I do here? What do I do there? Blah, blah, blah. Because they had such fond memories of great meals, good holidays, fun times being in the kitchen together, and really me balancing my professional life with my home life. Plus, as a little sidebar, my husband is an excellent barbecuer. So I would always organize the holidays, and he would barbecue, but I would do all the sides, and the kids really did help. So now I'm planning this to give them the recipes. I started a spiral notebook, and it just went from, it just got bigger, and I used to take my pictures on my BlackBerry. Now all of a sudden, of course, we all have iPhones, and you know what? It became something that, as someone who looks at trends, I really started seeing that I would like to create a community that helped create, or helped mothers and fathers develop more family meals with their children. So began one way, now it's become a bigger picture, and I'm really enjoying helping to build this community, and the rest is starting to be history. It's kind of moving along pretty fast. I love it.
Well, just from sitting here with you and just with talking with you over the past few months about this show and just getting to know you, it seems like you are very passionate about this work. That it just seems like, and I feel like it's wonderful when people have this desire to cook, and it's not just cooking, but it seems like it's you showing your family that you love them.
Yes, exactly. And seriously, I think it did become, at first it was because I love my husband and I wanted to make sure that he enjoyed my cooking. And then we would, before the children, we would cook, we'd be in New York or something. And what was really funny is I was kind of a geographical cook, because my recipes were great in Los Angeles, but then he was in New York. So I'd have to go there and try to figure out what I would use there. So that became good, because then I started becoming more creative, or it just was another challenge. But the cooking, when I would come home, put a good dinner on the table for the kids, and make sure that we sat and we were with our children. Jaime, a lot of people aren't with their children, and that is another thing. I think this is a little bit of a parenting tool, and I really want to encourage better parenting today. I think we've kind of stop that.
Yeah, well, families get busy and then it doesn't happen. And I know growing up, we had mandatory dinners. We had family dinners. My mom made us go around the table to talk about our day.
Oh, sweet.
We didn't want to, but we did. And looking back, it was lovely. And I just know that with the hustle and bustle, a lot of families don't do that these days. So it's so great that you're bringing it back.
I want to encourage family meals. I want to encourage the family disconnecting from the outside world and sitting down and connecting with each other, with your loved ones, with your children, that if you're not connecting from the age of, from when they're born, of course they're sitting around the table more about 4 and 5, but, if you're not doing that, and by the time they're 13, 14, you have no control over your children. So if you start, matter of fact, I have a really cute little thing in the cookbook where I do say start your children young, and be careful, of course. You don't want to, you can teach them to rip the lettuce, but you don't want to have any knives around.
Right,
You want to be careful. But in one place, I have setting a table. And the reason I have setting a table is because my parents really insisted on a nice table. And today, I have not met one person that knows how to set a table who works for me. So they, I've been able to teach them. I also have it where I have a little picture of where it was my older daughter and my husband at the kitchen sink, and she's only about 2 years old in this picture. So I really say encourage your children to help set the table. Use paper plates if you don't want them to hurt your china.
Practice.
It's really not about kind of yourself at that point as a mother, like worried about your china or if anything breaks. It's better to have things that could break or are plastic or are paper, just so that a kid can be involved. You know, so that's another little thing that's in the cookbook that I think is cute.
And I feel like it's another way to empower our kids.
Yes.
From a young age.
Yep. Exactly. And by the way, that is a word that I had written down, to empower, to encourage, to, give them self-confidence. I mean, if a child is sitting with you helping to make a salad, and then you all sit down and the other person says, "Oh, isn't this delicious?" The children love it. It's like, just it can't be better than, making hamburgers or something, or meatballs, letting them, play with it. It's all about working with your hands. But if we don't continue to start our children young, then we're contributing to a society of too much, I'm trying to think of the word, I'm so sorry.
Well, you said like disconnecting and not talking.
Yeah, but also too much affluence, okay?
Oh.
I mean, it's one thing to be affluent, but your children really don't care that you're affluent.
No.
They care about it later when they're going off to college. But when you're young, they want to be out front on the bicycles. They want mom and dad time.
They don't even need nice things.
No.
What they do need is love.
Yes.
And that's why you are teaching people to just sit down and love.
Yes.
Forget about the material aspects.
Yeah, I think so.
Food is food.
Food is wonderful also. The pots and pans, they're the best play toys for a child ever.
Oh yeah, so fun.
They can't
Banging.
break. They're banging, they're musical, it's like my mother and father-in-law, may they rest in peace, and they both almost died at the age of 100. So they were very healthy, wonderful people. And they used to kid around and say, don't buy them presents, give them the pots and pans.
Yes.
It was so cute.
So we're going to have to do a tutoring session after this or something, because I'm thinking, so I do have a 4.5-year-old little boy.
Okay.
And we've been encouraging Noah to, whether we're out at a restaurant for lunch or dinner, or we're at our house, to really engage in conversation. And he's 4.5 almost.
Yeah.
And he can do it for a good amount of time, but then he'll be like, can you read me a book? Which is really sweet, because that's still learning, you know?
Very.
Not like, can I do this video game? Well,
Right.
he does that also.
Right.
But I love your message, because in this world, especially with the young kids, that if you let them be on their devices all the time, then they're not connecting, and it's our responsibility to teach them how to have a conversation, right?
It is. It's that's your mothering. You have to do that. The other thing is just the crayons that we used to take out to dinner. That they would sit and color a little book or something. And you and your husband are sitting there going, "Oh, isn't that the cutest bear?" or "Isn't that this?" Children need that.
Yes.
And I think that again, it makes them confident, and then when they're confident and you can talk to them, then consequently I think that your relationship, which is what you are so good at, will only be better.
Gets bonded, more bonded,
I
connected.
hate to bring up a person, but she was a very dear friend of mine, and it was Nicole Simpson. And Nicole Brown used to say, I was one of the only mothers that talked to her children. So when Alex was a little girl and we all had children, I used to sit and really talk to her. Sure, I'd get mad at her, but if I was upset, that would be fast, and then I would sit down and explain to her why you can't do that. Why you can't run across that street. You've gotta parent.
Well, I love that you're bringing this up, and now we're kind of getting into a different conversation, but an important conversation. Why not just go there? That it doesn't even need to be your parent, but I think it's just important in life that if there's at least one, and I studied this years ago when I was studying social work, if you have at least one caretaker that truly loves you unconditionally, no, it doesn't matter what other kind of people were absent in your life, let's say, then you will be set up for a life of success. So I love that you could be that person.
Well, the other thing is, now you just opened something that I
let's keep going with.
really want to share with, and that is part of the, I have to grab this.
This is good because we're talking about your book.
Is that there are recipes in this
There's
cookbook.
A heart on the back, by the way.
Here's the heart.
It's
and
beautiful.
it also says recipes and inspiration for nurturing a happy, healthy home. That's my wish for all of you, But what is great is that because I was a working mom, I did have housekeepers, okay? And I was a clothing designer, but I owned the company with my husband. And because of that, I also was able to come home earlier because, I didn't have those long hours that I had to be there at 8:30 and I couldn't leave until 7 o'clock, and my housekeeper would start the meals. There are recipes in here for chicken adobo. We had a Filipino housekeeper that was the best cook, and she taught me how to do this meal. It's the most simple, wonderful, healthy chicken. And then what I did is I had her put in carrots and potatoes and I think zucchini, so I made it healthier. And not only that, but there's... Anyway, the other thing is that I made this spiral like this. Why? Because every one of the cookbooks that I had that were bound in a traditional binding, I'm going to show you something, broke. So see this? I brought this because
it's a great visual aid.
This is practically everyone's cookbook that they have. So my cookbook,
brilliant, very smart.
I'm a designer, so my cookbook, and I'm a product development person. So you have this spiral notebook, even though it might look less expensive. This was more expensive to make, and so what you can do, and a lot of the feedback I'm getting is say, here is the boneless chicken breast with artichokes. So it's kind of like a chicken piccata with artichokes. You give it to your housekeeper or your mother or anyone that's helping you with your children. So you're doing your cooking show or your relationship show. And now you can leave the house at 2:30, set up the housekeeper with this, tell her you're going to be home at a certain time, and dinner will be ready. Hopefully. But it really has helped.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
And I do love artichokes, so I'm going to definitely check out that recipe.
This one is chicken with artichokes, and it's really very healthy. One of the encouraging things that I do want to do also, and maybe someday I could even start a charity for some of the public schools, I'd love to get home economics back in the school.
Yes. That was one of your bullets, and I read in the first few pages of your book about how it just reminded me of me when I discovered psychology. Right. I feel like, and it was around the same time. So can you tell them the story about this experience when you really discovered this passion?
Yeah, we were kids in public school in Arcadia, California, and they had a class called home economics. Well, the first, quarter, whenever you had it, you had it, I think, in 7th grade. Now, what was so good about 7th grade is that you're already starting to really go a little crazy with boys and a little bit this. And there are different ideas that are coming out from some of the girls. And this home economics, they taught you sewing. They taught you to cook. They taught you to make a bed. They taught you to be a homemaker. Okay, now that was very it wasn't very respected to be a homemaker in the late 60s, 70s, and 80s. And quite frankly, that's another thing I wouldn't even mind bringing back. It's very respectable to be a good homemaker. If you don't take care of your home, your best investment, then you're losing that as well. So anyway, the home economic thing taught me a lot of different great tools to use. And one of them is the cooking. And you'll see even a carrot recipe in here with carrots with caramelized onions. I swear, I actually learned that in 7th grade.
Wow.
I know.
It's a staple.
And I made it for Passover last year, and people who had never had it were like, oh my God, this is so good. So
I'm not the biggest cooker in the world, baker, cooker.
Yeah.
But I did discover a recipe years ago. You probably know this. If you ever have somebody who doesn't like Brussels sprouts, it's Brussels sprouts,
most people,
onions, brown sugar, and then maybe broccoli or something. And you cook it, you put it together, and it make it kind of soft so you don't even taste the Brussels sprouts.
Right.
And it's delicious. Oh, and sweet potatoes or yams.
Yeah.
So you mix it all together, and then the person who doesn't like Brussels sprouts, you
Doesn't
don't even
even
tell
notice.
them it's... Yes. My
That's
husband's like,
funny.
can you please make that again? It's so good.
Oh, good.
It tastes like candy.
Yeah, no, I think that's terrific. I do actually, during my childhood, everyone hated Brussels sprouts. But that's a vegetable that whatever they did, they ended up making it so much better. And now you have the little ones, and you can grill them, and you can oven roast them, and we do it with, actually we're kind of very much into olive oil and garlic, a little more of that savory taste.
Yes,
and
me
so
too.
It's good.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because I do like that thing that I make with the Brussels sprouts, but I also need some kind of like salted vegetable or potato or something as well.
Yeah.
Can't do too much.
Well, you know what? In this cookbook, there are really some good vegetables. I want to say my mother was amazing. I come from 6 children. Okay, my mom I have 5 siblings. Unfortunately, we did lose one, but 5 of us, we all are cooks. And anyway, my mother never gave us a canned vegetable other than corn. Okay.
Wow.
Now that's pretty amazing. Being
Yes.
born in Minnesota, moving out to Southern California, she always had fresh vegetables. So we were really lucky. So you have a lot of vegetable recipes in my cookbook. One that I love is broccoli, and then you just steam it very easily and put some slivered almonds on it, and just a touch of butter. The other I love potatoes, even though currently they're supposedly politically incorrect, or they're not good for certain
Are
diets.
they not paleo or they are paleo?
I have
Keto?
no idea. But anyway, I'm very old school, but we love potatoes. And there's a recipe in here that I adore, which is roasted potatoes, cauliflower, and scallions. And it's just delicious. And then there's another one with potatoes and string beans and fennel. So a lot of different. I was always a healthy cook, I will say. I'm not a crazy cook as far as I really am a balanced cook, and I'm kind of old school, so I don't follow all the new things in the nutritional world. But you can customize a lot of my recipes if you're vegan, or if you're, not there's one that doesn't eat meat at all, so you obviously have a lot of chicken in here.
So, I know you wanted to show the viewers how beautiful this packaging is. Would you like to read what it says in the inside of the box?
Why, thank you, Jamie. Anyway, when you buy the cookbook, which you can buy on Amazon, or I have my own website called Ginger's Family Style Cookbook, and either or, it all comes to me and my girls. Anyway, so you get this cute box, and it says, "From my family to yours, relax, enjoy, love, and prosper." And then thank you, and from my website. So I want it to be kind of gifty, and then I wanted you to just have a really loving feeling when you got my cookbook.
I love it. And that brings me into, I know that I think it's like right at the beginning.
What?
You say that love is an action.
Yes.
So can you tell our viewers, what does that mean to you? And why did you feel compelled to write that?
Because if you don't take the right actions to show a person that you care, that you are respectful, you're considerate, then you're not really showing your love. So love is an action by doing all of those things. Cooking is an action. but cooking starts out on Sunday morning when I'm writing out my weekly menu, which...
Yes, and I know you recommend that.
I was going to say...
She's very organized.
I know, that's the other thing. You're going to like my organization. So you can download this for free, and it's my weekly dinner menu. So this weekly dinner menu, I plan out Sunday through Thursday what we're going to have.
Can you give me a challenge so I can stay accountable?
Right. Come on, get on.
But we'll go slow. Maybe I could plan out like 3 nights a week.
3's perfect.
Yeah. So this is also good for people watching. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to start
2 nights a
from
week.
0 to 100.
Right.
Because, then we would all feel very proud of ourselves.
Yes.
For people that aren't necessarily doing this.
Yeah.
I'm like a last-minute planner or something.
I love that, but on Sunday, if you have the chance, or, whatever day you go to the market, maybe it's Monday, maybe it's Thursday.
We go Sunday.
Yeah, but on Sundays, we go to the farmer's market. Again, we have a grocery list in the cookbook, and it actually says farmer's market, Whole Foods, where else, of course, and then your favorite grocery store. And we don't maybe do all of them on Sunday, but we do go to the farmer's market. Again, love is an action. So your action here is you're taking your children on a Sunday morning to farmer's market. Now, whatever age they are, our children loved to taste the apples that were cut up, the berries that were sampled, the mandarin oranges, whatever it should be. It was such a fun tasting time. There's so many strollers at the Brentwood Farmers Market, you cannot believe it. But it's a wonderful way to teach your children first about the produce, the names of them, and when they're really young, how do you spell apple? A-P-P-L-E, So
always learning,
that's
always
action.
loving.
Exactly. And so we start at Farmers Market. We go then to another market, where you maybe buy your fish or your chicken. If I'm on Sunday and I'm buying salmon or something, I actually do buy my salmon at Whole Foods. I think it's the best salmon ever. It always comes out great.
Pretty good, yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can freeze it for 2 days. I cut it in certain sizes, and I freeze it separately so that I don't have a big piece that if only 2 of us are eating, that whole thing goes to waste. So I'm real organized on my freezing. And when you freeze it, you have it on Tuesday, so you don't have to run to the market. So if you're running home and you, that extra time to stop in the market is just like an hour, 45 minutes that's, running into people or having to wait for the parking lot or, whatever
Very
it is.
time consuming.
It is time consuming. So that's why I say love is an action, doing all of these things.
Okay, so I want to get to ask you some questions about you and your husband's marriage, but I know you love talking about how you have meditations in your cookbook and the purpose of them. So would you like to tell the audience?
Thanks, Jamie. Boy, there's a lot in this cookbook, right? It's kind of like I'm a life coach. Okay, so the last portion of this cookbook is meditations, all right? So I have taken Kundalini yoga for the last 20 years, okay? When I was, I'm going to cry, when I was about 48, we went through a very difficult time of our life, okay? Our clothing business was, you could see that was going south, but it wasn't that. Our clothing business was really solid most of the time. The whole industry was going south. You had compliance charges from, large retailers. Then there was a lawsuit that was involved with somebody in our home, or not in our home, but whatever. I won't go into it. But so we had a lot of adversity, and then right after that, you had 911, when everyone financially, had so many problems, just as we are today with the stock market falling and this and that. So it was my first time going through those problems, and someone brought me to Kundalini Yoga. And because of that, I really have the best tools, the best meditation. I do go on Mondays, Thursdays. I've increased my spiritual practice. I do have a teacher named Tej Kerr Khalsa. She's wonderful. And so my point of the meditations is when you're raising a family, when you have a career, when you were trying to have it all in your life with your husband and yourself and your kids, you need some meditations to get you through. Okay?
We need to take care of ourselves also.
Exactly. good massage once every couple of weeks. So one of the massages is the addiction meditation. The reason for that is to get rid of addictions. We are all addicted to something. You can be addicted to sugar. You can be addicted to Diet Cokes, which you do not want to drink. You can be addicted to many things. And this addiction meditation helps you get rid of anything that no longer serves you. Okay, so that's the first. The next one, though, is the anger meditation. The anger meditation is the best thing ever. I actually do it practically every day. And the reason is we all have anger from the universe. We have anger from past lives. We have anger from our parents, the DNA, whatever it is. Driving down the street, your anger comes up. So this anger meditation helps you not get angry when something arises. It gets it out of your system, and that's what meditation does. It sets you up so that you get that during the meditation so that when it comes up in real life, you're calmer. Mm-hmm. The last one, and everyone will love this, is the prosperity meditation, okay? Why? Because everyone needs money. We all need
abundance.
Yes, we need prosperity, abundance, we need success, and because of that, I remember paying our real estate taxes, paying for the kids' tuition. How are we going to afford this? What vacation do we want to go at? Can we really stay at that hotel? What rewards do we have? It's part of life. And I don't want it to hurt your life. So these particular meditations will help mothers and fathers or, partners or whatever your relationship is. It'll just help you navigate your life a little easier.
I love it. I feel like this book has everything you need in life.
In the kitchen.
And in life. I mean, you take this book everywhere with you.
Right. I should have named it Kitchen Bedroom.
So much. Kitchen bedroom. Then we're going to get into the positions in the bedroom that she has a whole list of. No, I'm kidding.
In the book. That's funny, Jamie.
Or bring food into the bedroom. Okay. So next topic is...
May I have some water?
Of course you can. Because you're going to need
Thank you, my dear.
They need to hear the beautiful words that are coming out of your mouth.
Oh.
Okay, so I know from the first time we spoke, I'm not going to quote you exactly, but you pretty much said that you have a very passionate relationship with your husband still after 20, 30, how many years? 30?
Well, we've been married 37, going on 38 years.
Amazing.
Yeah, we've been together 40.
And I didn't ask her about, well, do you have passion in your relationship? I was just, I don't even know how it came up. And she made that statement, and I was like, this is so refreshing. This is so unique. It's so great to hear. So, and you don't need to talk about necessarily the passion part if you want to.
I won't.
And it's probably not even just sex. I think that passion in a relationship, you can just be passionate about the person because you adore them so much.
Yes.
So, can you just tell us, and one day we'll have your husband come on the show and we can do a whole show on you guys. What do you think it is about your relationship that makes it long-lasting and work?
Well, I think...
Why do you love him? How did you know you were in love?
Well, how did I know I was in love? I don't know. We actually were friends. I mean, he met me when I was very young. He met me at 19 years old, and he was 10 years older than me, and I would not go out with him. We met in the fashion industry, and the reason I wouldn't go out with him, he was older than me, and he was from New York. I was from here. He just had a whole nother lifestyle than I did, and actually at a very young age, I made a very good decision because we always laughed that we definitely would not have stayed together if we'd gotten married at that time. Yeah, and then later... You
were friends for a long time.
Yeah, we were friends in the fashion industry. He was a great salesman. He was the vice president of various companies. Then he had his own company in New York. And I had my companies here. I started out, as a buyer for a chain called Contempo Casuals.
I know it.
Sure. Oh, you do know it. Okay. And then...
They had it in the mall in Chicago.
Oh, did they? Yeah. And then I started a company called... a unique buying office with another girl that we were I was 23 years old. And we actually, speaking of Chicago, we actually felt very strongly that our fashion in California was much more saleable, balanced, and better selling than things that you would purchase in New York. And quite frankly, we kind of proved that point. And we were able to get Casual Corner as one of our largest accounts at the time. They had 800 stores. We also had 579 Chicago, and we used to have to go there. And Paul Harris, do you remember that chain of stores? Yes. And Evans in Chicago. So her name was Cindy Dugan. Her name is Cindy Dugan. And we went around the California Merchandise Mart, and we found all of these contemporary junior clothing companies that we sold and we endorsed to our retailers. So with that, Peter was part of that world, and that's when years later we ended up getting together, and I was about 29, he was that much older, and really we just were madly in love. We knew each other, we knew who we liked each other. We all both had grown in our own selves, you know. He did not have the crazy, you know, New York lifestyle as much, and I whatever. So we fell in love, we got married, we're very respectful and trustworthy. And I think that the trustworthy part is what really, really has been the cement in our relationship, you know. And yes, do we think each other are great and hot and sexy? And I really do believe that it's important that you have a relationship with your husband or wife or partner, you know, whatever it is today, that you have a good sex life. You know, I think that's important.
Do you guys go on a lot of date nights, and have you always gone on a lot of date nights?
Yes.
Because I feel like if everybody could do that, and I know most people have excuses and real excuses of why they can't, whether it's a babysitter or it's just going out for dinner, costs money or whatever it is, and you can always cook dinner at home. But there is something about getting out of the house and going somewhere on dates that, like, I knew I grew up with my parents. They went on at least 2 date nights a week. Nice. They went on their vacations, and I realized that that's unique, and you guys are unique, but it's not impossible. No. And that really is what connects you guys,
very
right?
important. As a matter of fact, ours was even better. We had an apartment in New York, and we were in the fashion business, so our apartment in New York was our little pied-à-terre. So the kids would be actually here, and then my husband used to have to go once a month to sell the collection, but I would go about it once every 2 months, so we would be alone for 4 days in New York working.
That's so great.
But working in New York made me feel sexier, you know, as a mother, and made him, you know, respect me more, because I'm now in the work world, which I, of course, am at home, but at home maybe I'm also sitting with a diaper on my shoulder, you know? So I just think
messy hair, no makeup.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, love is an action. I would probably not let my husband see me certain ways. I really think that that's important. You know, and I think that that's kind of old school, but you know, really today, some of the new school, I think, is teaching you incorrectly.
Tell us more.
Well, I don't know where I want to start, but you know, everybody being so natural and just thinking it's okay to let your hair go gray. You know, you can criticize me for it if you want, or you can heed my advice and say, hey, make yourself look gorgeous and keep yourself looking good. Work out, because then you're going to feel better. You're going to be more confident. Try not to, you know, eat too much. You know, these are things that we were taught as kids. You know, my mother, you know, she loved her second husband. No, you know, I mean, I just think that these are important issues.
Yeah, and it's not even a materialistic or an aesthetic thing.
No, it's not vanity.
It's actually when you work out and you eat healthy, that's respecting yourself, and it's attractive to whoever you're with to want to be with somebody who respects themselves.
Absolutely.
Just the same way, like if you're taking care of yourself, then you want your husband
to take care of himself. Right.
Because then they both understand the equal attraction.
Right.
And I love talking about attraction because it's a real thing. I just watched this show, Love is Blind.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of it?
I think so.
And it's just this experiment where people, they talk for like a few days and then
I just heard about it. Yes,
they get engaged without seeing each other.
Oh my God.
And out of however many couples got to that point of engagement, maybe like 6, 2 ended up getting married. Now we don't know what's going to happen if they're going to stay together. But it was really, really interesting to watch, to see, because this one girl was really struggling with, she really liked this guy. They connected before they actually met.
Right.
And the whole show, she's struggling. I mean, she couldn't even kiss him at the beginning. Finally, they kissed, they had sex. They ended up not getting married because she honored herself. Mm-hmm. But it really, I mean, yeah, attraction is very important.
It's very important.
And it's not a bad thing to want to be attracted to the person that you're with.
Absolutely. See, that's the other thing about new school. They have made you feel guilty for things of that nature. And don't feel guilty. The other thing that's so cute is my husband always says, and I agree completely, he always says, happy life, happy wife, or happy wife, happy life,
yes.
which is a great saying, but it kind of started even before, when I used to say, take care of the mom and the whole family prospers. You know, a mother has to take care of herself, and once we have the energy, then I think that I really understood that concept. And once I had the energy, I could go home to my family, I could cook up a storm, I could put the dinner on, and I could, get them washed and, do homework, into bed. But I stopped at the gym at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, worked out, rested, and then I came home. So it helped.
I feel like you're a very good example, because people do say you can't have it all. And I feel like you really do. Like, I feel like there's someone who I know who she says to me that someone who's older, who has said, because maybe it didn't work for her, but she said, you can't be good at everything. Like, you can't be a good mom if you're going to have a successful career. You can't be a good wife. And I'm under the same school of thought as you, that I believe you can.
Me
you
too.
can. Yeah.
Okay.
Why not? We're superwomen.
Well, okay, but Jaime, this is what I say, and I've got to put on my glasses here now, everyone, and that is, I honestly say that you can't have it all the time. You can have it all through your life, but at certain times of your life, you are going to have to choose which to emphasize. Okay, you can have your career while you're young and make it better, but when you make a decision to have your children, you're going to have to modify that a little bit. And that's when you're going to really have to depend on your partner, which is your husband or your, significant other, whatever it is. And honestly, another reason I love my husband so much, and I think he loves me so much, is that we could depend on each other. He made sure that he was bringing home, or that he was taking care of our financial world. While I was doing this. Yes, I was designing. Yes, I owned half of it. All of that. But that didn't matter at the time. He made it so that I didn't have to be there 24/7. So,
right.
Very good advice.
If you are a mom who is traveling 24/7,
oh yeah,
then obviously you're not going to be able to be there for your children.
Right.
But I feel like you can be successful in your own right in whatever you're doing in your job, and at the same time be present. And when you are with your children, actually be there. Because
exactly.
If you're stressed out about work and you're thinking about work all the time and you're not really there, they can pick up on it.
You're not connected to your children.
Right.
Another reason to make sure you do 2 meals at home, and that the cell phones are off, including the mother and fathers, and that everyone is connecting to their family,
Yeah.
And that's empowering. And you know what, seriously, everyone, you will get it back in the long run. I mean, I guess we must have done something right, because both of our daughters are doing very well in life. Have we had our struggles? Of course we have. I'm not trying to paint a Pollyanna story here. I'm trying to give you tools to hopefully help create communities that will end up with wonderful children, good families, not a lot of divorces, and us living better lives. So
You should think about being like a public speaker. I know you can go on your book
Just
tour,
starting.
but you're a really good example of how you can make it work.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
You're
You know,
welcome.
it feels very good to have accomplished this, and as trite as it may be, as a cookbook, it's still a form of being a role model. And I think at this stage, I mean, I am 68 years old, and so consequently,
She looks like she's 20. Like she,
you know, so
I'm
consequently,
sitting right next to her.
You know what though? I really, I don't know. I guess it's those good genes.
Yeah,
Or maybe it was those tight jeans when I was in.
But it's taking care of yourself. It's everything we're
Yes.
talking about.
Yeah.
It's love. These things keep us alive and keep us looking young
Yeah.
and bright.
Yep. And because I did pretty much eat home, my husband and I always laugh between Sunday and Thursday. Really, it kept our weight in line. So I don't use a lot of salt, and if I do use salt,
I love salt.
yeah, I'm a salt person. I mean, chips are my favorite thing.
Popcorn.
Right. Okay. But anyway, salt. If you use just normal sea salt, or not sea salt, but normal salt, it really isn't good for you. As a matter of fact, obviously it's not in my cookbook, but it is actually the biggest cause of lactic acid and breaking women's and men's bones. Because what happens is that salt made by Morton's, you know, it has chemicals,
Right.
and you can't break it down in your system.
But what about Himalayan sea salt?
Well, that's what I was going to say. You have to have either Himalayan sea salt or Mediterranean sea salt. So I've always given my family sea salt because that is naturally cured.
It's not like iodized or something?
It isn't iodized, but maybe some of the sea salts are. But if you need a lot of iodine also, you can eat a lot of radishes or things like that.
Take iodine drops.
You could, yeah. And I think there's iodine in my multivitamin. But the sea salt has been just wonderful. So we don't use a lot of salt in our cooking. I actually do use butter or ghee, and I never use margarine. It was a lot of chemicals. I also use very little of those, you know, ingredients. Plus, I use a little olive oil, but we've switched also to avocado oil, and
We've been using that.
exactly, it's the best.
So good for you.
And you know, the only thing is, it's very good for chicken, but it's really not good for crisping something. So, like if you want to do a stir fry, you don't use that. But for chicken, avocado oil is the best that I found. And olive oil, the only reason you don't really want to cook with that is because you can't heat it up too much,
Right.
because if you do, it becomes carcinogenic. So you
Yeah.
want to use olive oil more for salads, and just a little of it maybe in your canola oil. And even though they say don't use canola oil, it's the best oil to use, I think, today to at least crisp up your food.
Okay.
Little tools.
Well, you'll have to come back with your hubs, and there's obviously
I'm sure you'd
always
love to.
so much more to talk about. Anyway, so can you tell our audience once again how they can purchase one of these books, how they can talk to you, find you, your website, everything?
Sweet. Well, would be nice is to, you know, help build a community that we can help empower each other. So you can always get me on Instagram under Ginger Bort, and that's B-O-R-T. And plus the website I mentioned, which is Ginger's Family Style Cookbook. And that is my website. And then actually, if you go and you search it on Amazon now, my cookbook is there. And that was a 2-month challenge.
That is so exciting.
Oh my God,
It
getting
really
on.
is.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Wow.
So it's been very nice. And, you know, of course, if you do buy a book, I'd love it once you make a recipe or you receive it. If you're happy with it, please write a review, because that's how things multiply in the Amazon world.
And when I post the show, when it's going to be up
Uh-huh.
on the LA Talk Radio website and my website, therelationshipexpert.com, I will put the links in there
Well,
so that
thank
people
you.
can buy your books.
So very much. You know, Jamie, you're adorable. It's so
Thank you.
nice that you're bringing this relationship information to everybody, because, you know, relationships are the greatest things you'll ever have in your life.
Yes.
And I don't think you have to have a lot of relationships, but you have to have good ones.
Quality over quantity.
Yep. And your family will probably be your closest relationship. And let's make those husbands and wives and significant others really an important part of our life. Let's not let them irritate us too much and criticize and everything. You know, let's uplift each other a little bit more. Life is a little too challenging today, and I think we need each other.
And I just want to end on, so Ginger says love is an action. I say love is why we live.
Beautiful.
So namaste.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on the show.
In the Kundalini world, we say Satnam.
And Satnam, Satnam,
Thank
Namaste.
you.
Have a wonderful evening,
Thank
and
you.
have a wonderful evening out there.
Thank
And
you for listening.
thanks for tuning in to Love Talk Live. We'll see you next week.
You're listening to Love Talk Live with the relationship expert, Jaime Bronstein, only on LA Talk Radio.